श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। So the Upanishads, most of them, they are in the form of a samvada, a guru-shishya samvada. And like most of the Upanishads we've already studied, that is Katha Upanishad, Mundaka, Kaivalya, and of course the current Kena Upanishad. Isha Upanishad does not have a question, yeah, and it directly starts with the Upadesha. Now in the Katha Upanishad, the Samvada, we see how this young Nachiketa, what is his question? His question is, Anyatra dharma, anyatra adharma, anyatra asmat kritat kritacha, anyatra bhuta bhavyacha tat vada he Yamadharmaraja. O Yama, can you tell me what is that tattvam which is beyond dharma and adharma, which is beyond the 3 periods of time and beyond cause and effect? Yeah, that is his question in the Katha Upanishad. Then when we come to the Mundaka Upanishad also, there is a question by Shishya called Shaunaka, who approaches the Guru Angiras and who also asks a very beautiful question. Kasminno bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati iti. Hey Guru, what is that one thing knowing which one would know everything in life? And then the Guru explains the twofold vidya. Apara vidya is the worldly knowledge, but Paravidya is the liberating knowledge. Then when we come to Kaivalya Upanishad, this Grahastha Mumukshu called Ashwalayana approached Brahmadev and asked for the Upadesha. Then after getting the Upadesha, he presents his understanding. What has he learned? And there is that famous mantra, number 19 in the Kaivalya Upanishad, which says, Mayyeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayyeva layam sarvam yati, tat brahma aham asmi. So we have these brilliant students, who are all, top adhikaris. So Ashwalayana says, just as the dream world manifests from the mind, is sustained by the mind and returns back to the mind on waking up, so too the waking world also is born of I, the Atma, is sustained and dissolves back into the Atma. Now coming to the Kena Upanishad also, we have a student whose name we do not know. who asks the question, Keneshitam Preshitam Patitaha Manaha. Hey Guru, how does the conscious perception happen? How does the mind think? We take it so much for granted, no? We open the eyes and sight happens, hearing happens, taste happens. But is there an intelligent conscious principle governing all this? No? So in the first chapter itself, which is all about Shravanam, the Guru gives the answer and says, Shrotrasya Shrotram, Vacho hi Vachaha, Manaso hi Manaha. That intelligent principle is the ear of the ear, eye of the eye, prana of the prana, and speech of the speech, and so on. Then the Guru also tells the Shishya, Tadeva Brahma Tvam Vidhi, Nedam Yadidam Upasate. That is, that Brahma, that intelligent conscious principle is who you really are. So you are not that which you take yourself to be. So whatever one experiences as an object, whatever one can conceptualize, objectify, that is not Brahma. So Brahma is not known as an object. Then, am I the experiencer? If the question comes, like right now, can I say Brahma is a talker in me, the speaker, and the listener in you? Again, the Guru says no. The talker, the speaker, the listener, eater, dreamer, waker, sleeper, in all these roles and states is still the I notion, identified with a certain upadhi. So that is the ahankara. So even the ahankara is not that Brahma that I am talking about. So in the Ramana Maharishi's Upadesha Saram, we saw this. How the Upadesha said, one has to trace even the I notion to its source. What is the source from where the I notion manifests? And then trace it and remain there, Maharishi has said. So this way the Guru is asking the Shishya that all these versions, the gods and goddesses that we worship, they're all Saguna versions of that Brahma. So Brahma is not that what you take yourself to be. And then one student, he gives a brilliant answer and says, I know, and it's not that I don't know also. Yeah. So Shankaracharya explains this in the Bhashyam very well and says that Brahma Tattvam is neither known nor unknown. It is never known as an object, neither is it ever unknown. So what can that be? That can be only one thing, and that is the knower. So the knowing faculty in us, which we have seen many times as Chit. Chit is Jnana Swarupaha Atma, or awareness. That is the witnessing principle, or Avasthatraya Sakshi. That is the Brahma that the Guru is, explaining in this Kena Upanishad. In Tamil, there is a very famous saying, I think, the one who knows does not talk, and the one who talks does not know. Yeah, so something similar here we can say. So Upanishad summarizes the teachings and says, if you say you know Brahma very well, then you don't. Because you perhaps understand it as an object, and, it is not unknown either, because it is the truth and essence of oneself. Yeah, it is in all the bodies, and it is in between the bodies also, the all-pervading Atma Tattva. So then we saw in the second chapter, which is all about Mananam. Mananam is really that Amrita Mathanam. That is the Amrita Mathanam story that we hear in the Puranas. This is the churning of the mind to arrive at the truth. So the Upanishad now summarizes this Tattvam in the last 3 mantras of the second chapter. Yeah. And says, Yasya Amatam Tasya Matam. And Matam Yasya Na Veda Saha. And then the next mantra, I told you, the 4th mantra of the second chapter is a very important mantra, often quoted. by acharyas all over the globe, and that is Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Amritatvam hi vindate, Atmana vindate Viryam, Vidyaya vindate Amritam. So, if the question is asked, okay, how is that Brahma, to be known? How can one know that? Here is the answer in this mantra, and that is the first quarter. Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So, that which is known in every experience. Yena Rupam Rasam Gandham. Yama taught Nachiketa that every time I taste something, I smell, I perceive something, or I think, every experience and every knowledge that one gains through the upadhi is not possible without the grace and blessing of that Brahma. That is what this mantra says, Pratibodha Viditam Mata. So we were looking at that about how, any kind of knowledge that I'm wanting in the world, the knowledge of such a small thing like a rose. So this rose is understood as a rose vritti or a thought in my mind. But that mind itself is lit up by what? By Chaitanyam, the principle of consciousness. So now the rose goes away and then the pen comes. So the pen vritti in the mind is lighted up by the same Chaitanyam. So like that, whatever I understand through the mind about trees, persons, worlds, language, computers, ground, sky, whatever, we always, have to understand that there is the Chaitanyam, light of lights, which is lighting up the mind. And in the mind, there is the vritti jnanam. And that vritti jnanam is exactly what this mantra says. Pratibodha viditam matam. Yeah. Like, for example, this hand. So all of us can see the hand. Yeah. But do we see the photons of light that is reflecting off the hand? No. Right? We know that there is a light. Right now there's a tube light here and also sunlight is still around. So we see the hand which is visible and tangible, but not the light that is making the hand visible. Yeah. So too, in whatever knowledge and experience I gain in the mind about the world, yeah, there is the light of lights, that invariable Atma Chaitanyam that is blessing it to make it known. So that is the meaning of the first quarter here, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. And Guru says that if you shift your mind away from the Nama Rupas, flower, pen, rose, whatever Nama Rupa, but you pay attention to the Adhara, Adhisthana, what is that by which the experience is made possible, then you arrive at that subtle Atma Tattvam Brahma. And that is who you really are. So when we are caught up in experiences and in the hectic pace of, of the daily activities, we may not notice this. But when we settle down in a calm, pure, steady mind, we can, detect the presence of a witnessing awareness. That is why Ramana Maharishi often said, Chumma iru, be silent and know that. Yeah. Now, be silent does not mean verbal silence here, but silence is stop the chatter of the mind. Yeah. We are so busy the whole day that even to take a few minutes off and just to be has become so difficult in modern times. Yeah. So when we purify the mind through upasanas, japa, or meditations, and then the steady mind is like a laser beam, and that can, that becomes aware of that presence. That is the Chaitanyam talked about in this fourth mantra. So when the question is asked, when am I going to experience Brahman? Where am I going to experience Brahman? In an ashram or, when the guru is around? No, the answer is Pratibodha Vidita Matam, the shortest answer possible. So Brahma Tattvam is present even as I'm experiencing anything in the dream state or waking or sleeping state, in all the roles that I'm playing in life, in all the avasthas, yeah, Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti, in the Balya Dishu also, Balya Avastha, Yuva Avastha, Vridha Avastha, that is the invariable, constant accompanying factor. That is the Avasthatraya Sakshi. So that is the meaning of that first quarter there. And then the second quarter says that Amritattvam hi vindati. And because of that, Nitya Vastu, Aparoksha Anubhava means it's very intimately known. It is always there, available 24/7. That is what is Amritattvam. Yeah. Now, Amritattvam, is often translated as the immortal nectar. We saw that in Saundara Lahari also recently. But the Upanishads say, what is the real meaning of Amritattvam? Na mritam iti Amritattvam. And that is when I'm identified with my upadhi. What is my understanding of myself? I was born on this date. I am sukhi, dukhi, karta, bhokta, yeah, and this afflicted, struggling jiva, mortal, aging jiva. But now this Amritattvam is that understanding now shifts to something that is the permanent, invariable factor. Then what is my perception of myself? न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम्. Familiar to you? Gita, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. So it says that whatever happens to this perishable body is due to prarabdha. Yeah, prarabdha will bring its share of vyadhi and aging challenges. We have to have titiksha for that. Yeah, but that is not who I really am. So this mumukshu strives to gain that vision. Yeah, vision of that ajaha amrityu atma, which happens over time, constant shravanam, mananam, especially nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is owning up this knowledge in a few minutes of silent meditation. So even however busy we are, we have to take a few minutes and reflect upon what the Gita and the Upanishads are saying. Otherwise, the knowledge is going to remain at an intellectual level. Then the third quarter is Atmana Vindate Viryam. Viryam means strength or the capacity to know. How will I know this knowledge? Shravanam. Yeah, I have to approach the Guru. Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So one has to approach the Guru. But for that, I need punyam to approach the Guru, and I need some amount of viveka vairagyam. And for that, again, I should have purified the mind with karma yoga upasana. So there's the whole route map, which we have seen many times in the Gita. Karma yoga, prasada buddhi, upasana, then connecting to Ishvara, and then developing the sadhana chatushtayam, guru praptihi, shravanam, maranam, nididhyasana. So Atmana is by a sukshma mind alone, one can gain this knowledge. And to make the sukshma, one has to pursue the Vaidika marga. Then a commentator gives another meaning for Atmana. If we keep, the first meaning is the mind, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam. Second meaning is Atma itself. So Atma Jnanam, the one who has Atma Jnanam, Vindate Viryam, is really the strong person. Yeah, because that person, that jnani, abides in the strength of the Atma and does not derive strength from the Upadhi dharmas. Some people will claim a status, I am from this kula, I have attained this qualification, I've been to these countries. That is all Upadhi dharmas. But the jnani's true strength or viryam is that Atma Jnanam. That is the third quarter. Then finally, the same thing is repeated. Vidyaya vindate mritam. Amritam or Amritatvam is attained by this Vidya alone. Which Vidya? Atma Vidya. So, this is what we saw in the very important mantra number 4. Then, the second chapter of the Kena Upanishad, ends with the 5th mantra, Iha chet avedit atha satyamasti. Here the Upanishad says, this opportunity to gain this knowledge, is very, very rare. And we've seen the rarest of blessings. What are they? The 3 M's. First M for Manishyatvam, second M for Mumukshutvam, and the third for Mahapurusha Samshayaha. I think we have all these 3 already in possession. So the human birth, how rare is it? It seems it happens, the probability is 1 out of 84 lakh species. So we are already blessed by this human birth. And human birth is also rare because only in the Bhuloka as a human embodiment can one gain this knowledge. Because the Manushya Shariram is the perfect combination of Papa Punyam to wake up the slumbering Jiva and to gain this knowledge and pursue it. Yeah. Then Mumukshutvam, desire for liberation should be there, and connection with the Guru Parampara. Now, if we gain this knowledge, knowledge in this very birth, then Upanishad says Satyam Asti. Then there is meaning to life, there is purpose in life, and there is fulfillment. Otherwise, why were we born? Some people say we were born, eat, drink, marry, have a nice life, enjoy, because there is no life beyond this. This is the only life. So there is one Charvaka school of philosophy which believes in that. But why was I born only to die? There must be some other purpose to life, is it not? So Upanishads reveal that we are all Amrita Putras and Amrita Putris. We are not just daughters and sons of so-and-so. Such parents, that has got a Vyavaharika, reality to it. But really, we have to discover ourselves as the sons and daughters of that Amritam. So, then the Upanishad gives a mild warning and says, Nachet Iha. Iha means in this human shariram, in this Mrityu Loka. If this knowledge is not gained, then what does one lose? The loss is Mahati Vinashtihi. Infinite loss. Yeah. Why? Because, every Janma, like right now, our Janma is what? It is one chunk of Prarabdha taken from the Sanchita, infinite store of karmas. Now, what is going to be on top of that Sanchita karma stack? We don't know. What is the next Janma going to be? Which circumstances, whether it'll be in the middle of some war situation, or in some foreign country, to which family are we born to? It is anybody's guess. Yeah. So now that we have the 3 M's in place, may one make the best use of the opportunity for Shravanam and with the Guru and continue pursuing this knowledge. Yeah. And that is what the Dhiras do. Bhuteshu Bhuteshu Vichitya Dhiraha. Dhiras are the Vivekis who, do the discrimination between Nityavastu and Anityavastu. Yeah. Then Bhuteshu Bhuteshu, in all the perishable bodies, they perceive what? The shining, imperishable Parameshwaram seated in the hearts of all the Jivas. Then Pretya Asmat Lokat Amritaha Bhavanti. So Pretya Asmat Lokat means these Dhiras, they have turned away from the Dvaita Prapancha. Drishyavaritam Chittamatmanaha. We saw that shloka in Upadesha Saram. Drishyavaritam, turning away from the worldly pursuits, from the Dvaita Prapancha, from the Arthakama pursuits. Pretya Asmat Lokat. Then what do they enjoy? They would enjoy Jivan Muktihi. Even being embodied, they are enjoying the freedom, the state of moksha. Then when the body drops at the end of the prarabdha, amritaha bhavanti, they would enjoy what? Videha mukti also. There are these twofold mukti is often talked about, Jivan mukti and Videha mukti. Now, if you notice this last line, Pretya asmat lokat amritaha bhavanti, has come before. It came in the first chapter at the end of the second mantra, when the Guru answers, Chakshushaha Chakshuhu, Shrotrasya Shrotram. So, whenever there is a repetition in an Upanishad, what does that signify? The end of the Upadesha. In those days, and there was no Zoom login, log out. So, there was only Karna Parampara. Karna Parampara means the Guru would repeat one line twice, and then the Shishyas will do Namaste and disperse. That's the beautiful Karna Parampara. Guru also will go away. So this line, was repeated. Pretya asmat lokat amritaha bhavanti. So we see that now chapter 1 was all about Shravanam, Upadesha given by the Guru to the Shishyas. Then chapter 2 was intense Mananam, and Mananam is the churning, dwelling upon the Upadesha. And now also the Phalam is over. Phalam is also being told. Yeah, Amritam Vindate, that is the Phalam. Freedom from Anishtam, what I do not want. I don't want to be in bondage, which is giving me so much anxiety, worry. Every moment I'm worried, what will happen to me or what will happen to others connected with me. So that is the moksha, freedom from Anishtam. All that is now over. Yeah. Now, there are 2 more chapters, also very short chapters. And what is the necessity of additional chapters when the Upadesha is over? If the question is asked, the answer is what we have just seen in the 2 chapters. It was very, very abstract. I'm sure, even for all of us. We have done Shravanam now for a number of years, and still it is Ati Sukshma. Yeah. As a flash, we sometimes understand, and then it disappears. Yeah. And then we are back to Vyavahara, and then clouded mind is again there. So the Shruti or Upanishad understand very well that there are various levels of minds or students. Yeah. For this understanding, we need a Ati Sukshma mind. Sukshma Samskrita Manas. Yeah. Avrita Chakshuhu. That is a mind that is purified, steady, turned inwards. That is needed to understand the level of the Shrutis. But not everybody has got that kind of mind. Yeah. So, in order for, those students and seekers who are Madhyama category, who are not the top Uttama category, then Upanishad is going to step down and very compassionately, offer a story, a story by which one can understand this Tattvam. All these, what we saw in the second chapter, I know and I don't know, it is neither known, neither unknown, very, very paradoxical. But that's the language of the Upanishads. Upanishads assume that we are all ready and prepared. Yeah. And so now, so for those students who may not grasp the teachings right away, for them, there is a 3rd chapter which is begun. Yeah. And the 3rd chapter is about the story. Even for us, when we listen to a song, in our culture, we have so many beautiful songs about the Brahma Tattvam. Yeah, Sadashiva Brahmendra has sung so many beautiful songs. Then we have dance dramas and stories. So that is a very lighter, entertaining way to absorb the Tattvam. Yeah, instead of the direct Upadesha, Tattvamasi, 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 which sometimes appears very dry also. Yeah. Of course, the Uttama Adhikaris, like an Ashwalayana, Nachiketa, they will enjoy every moment even of this abstract way of the Upanishads. But anyway, coming back to the story, now we go to the 3rd chapter, which is a short chapter with just 12 mantras, and it's about the story And the story has very important messages, which is told in the fourth and the last chapter. Now we will hear a little bit about the story itself. Yeah. Now, this story is very, very famous. I remember when I was studying in Anikatti, and we all went from Coimbatore to Chennai, and there was a Bharatanatyam dance performance on the story. Very beautiful, no? So the dancer was, I think, the then director of Kalakshetra, and it was so tangible, the mantras, how she depicted the stories of the devatas, still is in my mind, imprinted deeply. So these are the forms that we easily absorb, the utterly satyam, the subtle sukshma tattvam, very easily. So this story that we're going to see is centered on the devas, devatas. So we all know that, who are the devatas? So the devatas are the personification of this faculties that we enjoy. How the Aditya Devata blesses my sight. Yeah, Varuna blesses the faculty of touch. Then, Vayu blesses the faculty of touch, Varuna, the taste, and so on. Yeah, Agni is the power of speech. So these devatas, they have all been empowered by Ishvara. Yeah, they are not independently powerful. As we see in the Upanishads also, they obey the order of Ishvara, by which the wind, Vayu Tattvam, has to blow. Agni has to burn. Sun has to rise and set every day. And Prithvi has to spin. So that the order that makes the devatas function and perform their cosmic functions, that is Ishvara's order. So the story is centered on the devatas, that the devatas and the asuras, they are often clashing. They are arch rivals. Yeah. So they will be fighting for something or the other. Either they want Amritam or they want Svargaloka, some heaven. So there will be a war between the two teams. Yeah. So who's going to win? Mostly it will be Devas. Devatas will win. Why? Because the Devatas are Sattva Guna Pradhanas. They have predominantly Sattva Guna, and so they will uphold Dharma. And so Dharmo Rakshita Rakshati. So the one who supports Dharma, Ishvara support will be there. So the Devatas generally win. Yeah. So at one time, again, there was a clash and the Devatas won. Yeah. But what happened, temporarily what happened was, the mind of the Devatas, got clouded by Avidya Maya. Avidya Maya means there will be a I notion. Yeah. So the I notion that Devatas are now thinking that, oh, look at this fantastic victory we have had over the Asuras. So they are celebrating that victory and they are exchanging information. How many Asuras did you kill? How many did I kill? So they are counting all the statistics and their minds are all clouded with Manitvam. Yeah, Manitvam. See, we have to understand the Devatas, they don't have a physical shariram like us, but they have a subtle upadhis, the mind. And in that mind, there will still be comparison and competition, jealousy, fear, all that will be there. So they have this Manitvam creeps in. Yeah. So then what happens? They are claiming that glory and the power of the victory to themselves. Yeah. So then what happens? Brahman is Ishvara. Yeah. Sarvajna Ishvara is able to see what's going on in their minds. So in order to protect the devatas, how to protect and save the devatas? By doing that garvam bhanga. Garvam bhanga means to destroy and prick the pride. Yeah. So what happens? Ishvara appears as a radiant, shining being in front of the devatas. They're celebrating in some conference hall in Swarga, very festive place. And suddenly they see this shining yaksha. So yaksha means a divine being. And the root Sanskrit dhatu is yaj. Yach means to worship. So yaksha is something that is pujaniyaha, yeah, puja, worshipable. Hmm? In fact, Puja Swamiji would say this is the first avatar of Ishvara, Bhagavan. All the other avatars came much later. This Yaksha of Kena Upanishad is the very first avatar. Hmm? So then, now the Devatas' attention, they're all celebrating and they're all in a festive mood, but suddenly they see the shining being. They say, how come a stranger has arrived in our Swargaloka? And they consult with the security, security guard. Says, we also don't know, I'm sorry. So then they're very puzzled, and then Indra calls for a meeting, urgent meeting. They have a brainstorming. They want to find out who this being is. Yeah. So then in the meeting, Indra decides to send Agni Devata to Yaksha and to find out, who this Yaksha is. Where did he come from? How did he simply arrive here without our knowledge? Now, why the Agni was chosen is explained by some commentators because Agni is a very bright personality. So there is ignorance of the Yaksha. So to light up and remove the ignorance, we need brightness. So Agni is sent. Then they say, Agni, you are Jataveda. You are Jataveda. You are so bright and you light up all the worlds. Yeah, you go and find out. Agni says, yeah, this should not be so difficult. Let me go. So Agni approaches the Yaksha. And before Agni can speak to the Yaksha and find out, the Yaksha puts a question to Agni. Who are you? Ko si, kaha asi. So Agni Devata says, yen veetla enne kekran. So I am in my home and I'm being asked, who are you? It's like asking the sun, who are you? Or Honorable Prime Minister, who are you? So Agni feels humiliated internally and thinks, I am Jata Veda and I'm so important in every Vedic ritual. I manifest as Jataragni, digestive fire, body temperature. I can burn anything in the world. He is thinking all this. Then the Yaksha asks, what is your special skill? What is your expertise? What can you do? And then Agni says, I can burn anything in the world. Yeah. Then the Yaksha says, no, we don't want you to do that. Here is a blade of grass. Yeah. I think it could be even a straw, dry. So a straw and place it, just burn this and that will be sufficient. So I'm sure all of you know the story that Agni now, is feels that he must do something and he gazes at that straw. He shoots out the fiery rays, and we know the Agni has got these 7 tongues, Kali, Karali, blue tongue, yellow tongue, orange tongue, sparkling tongue. He tries with all his might, sits on it, blows on it. Nothing happens to the straw. It remains exactly where it is, does not budge. So now Agni says that, he admits defeat and he returns back to Indra. They're all waiting anxiously and says, I'm sorry, I could not find out the whereabouts, the source of the Yaksha. So then what does Indra do? Indra wants to now send a second messenger, second representative, and says to Vayu. Vayu also has an equally important function, that is to blow anything. So, Vayu, can you please go and try? And Vayu says, Tathastu, yes, I will go. So, what Agni cannot accomplish, I think I can do it. So, Vayu goes. What happens? Same story. Yeah. Same sequence also we are going to see in the mantras. Yaksha first asks, who are you? And again the Vayu says, I am Vayu. I give the very life to everyone. I can uproot trees and houses. And have you not heard in the breaking news about hurricanes, tsunamis, cyclones, super cyclones, and give names to all these also? I can lift anything in the world. Then Vayu says, okay, can you lift this? And puts the same straw, the blade of grass in front of Vayu, lift it. And again, Vayu must feel very humiliated because it's such an ordinary task, but he attempts, assumes all the forms of cyclone, super cyclone, hurricane, but the straw does not budge an inch. Yeah. So we know why all this is happening, because the Yaksha is Ishvara Rupa, avatara of Ishvara. And it is to impress upon, the Devatas that the victory, they have accomplished, that they are claiming to be theirs, the glory and the power is because of Ishvara, not because of them. So that is why these lessons in humility is following with the Yaksha. Anyway, so Vayu also returns back to, the assembly of gods, and then says, I'm sorry, even I could not find out who the Yaksha is. Yeah. So now Indra is really, very puzzled. And Indra is Devendra. So he has an extra ounce of sattva. Now he says, okay, enough of delegation, let me go. So Indra decides to venture and find out himself. But the moment Indra comes close to the Yaksha disappears. Yeah, so that means what? Ishvara withdraws the avatara rupa. So there's no dialogue even, with Indra. So then Indra, reflects a moment and thinks that this is a very special being, there must be something to learn here. And so Indra prays to Ishvara, and then in response to the prayer, Bhagavan appears as Bhagavati, Uma Devi. So Uma Devi is Brahma Vidya, stands for Brahma Vidya. And Uma Devi appears, and then now she appears as the Guru, and Indra is now the Shishya. And this is where chapter 3 ends. And the fourth chapter, the last chapter, is about the Upadesha between Uma Devi, the Guru, and Indra, the Shishya. And after which Indra gains the wisdom, and then he also becomes a Guru and teaches all the other Devatas and gives them the wisdom. Yeah. So that is the little bit of the background story. Now let us see the mantras. The very first mantra. The first mantra of the third chapter. ब्रह्मदेवेभ्यो विजिज्ञे ब्रह्मदेवेभ्यो विजिज्ञे तस्यः ब्रह्मणो विजये देवा अमहीयन्त ब्रह्मदेवेभ्यो विजिज्ञे तस्यः ब्रह्मणो विजये देवा अमहीयन्त. So here, this is describing the first, the story is described. Na? Brahma ha devi bhyah vijigye. So, Brahman we have to understand as Ishvara. Yeah? Not Nirguna Brahma, but as the Saguna Ishvara. So, Saguna Ishvara, devi bhyah vijigye. For the Devatas, Brahma brings about a victory, one. So, Brahma wins for whom? For the Devatas, their victory over the Asuras. Then Tasyaha Brahmanaha Vijaye Devaha Amahiyanta. Amahiyanta means they are glorified. So now there is a celebration. Yeah. Tasyahi Brahmanaha Vijaye. So really the victory belongs to Brahman. Yeah. But who are being honored and praised and respected? They're all garlanded and honored with bouquets and citations and stuti, the Devatas. So Devaha Amahiyanta. Mahima. Amahiyanta means they were glorified. Yeah, but really the victory is that of, the Brahma. That is all. This is just the first mantra. Then now comes the attitude of the Devatas. Te aikshanta, asmakamevam ayam vijayaha, asmakameva ayam vijayaha, asmakameva ayam mahima iti, asmakameva ayam mahima iti, tadha esham vijagnyau. तद् एषां विजज्ञौ तेभ्यः ह प्रादुर्बभूव तेभ्यो ह प्रादुर्बभूव तन्न व्यजानत किमिदं यक्षमिति. So now mantra 2 is talking about what's going on in the minds of the devatas. Te aikshanta. Aikshanta is they thought, they perceived. Perceived where? In their minds. Iksh dhatu, te aikshanta. What did they think? Asmakam eva ayam vijayaha. This victory is our victory. You know, we all fought against the asuras and they were no match for us. Asmakam eva ayam vijayaha. Asmakam eva ayam mahima iti. And the glory is also ours. So here is where that, ahankara is playing a role. There is a garvam, there is a pride, there is a mamatvam there. Ahankara, aham, mama. These two I notions, very strong, has crept in. So they are appropriating the victory to themselves. Asmakameva ayam vijayaha, asmakameva ayam mahima iti. Then tad, ha, esham, vijagno. Tad here is but Brahman. Saguna Ishvaraha, esham, vijagno. He knew. He knew about these devatas. What's going on in their mind. And then what happens? Tebhyaha ha pradurbhabuva. Pradurbhabuva means manifested. So Brahma decides to take up an avatara of a yaksha and pradurbhabuva appeared. Where? Tebhyaha, in front of them, in front of the devatas. But tat na vyajanata. But they had no inclination of this yaksha. Who is this yaksha? What for? Has it manifested? Na vyajanata, did not know. Kim idam yaksham iti. They do not know who this yaksha is. So, this is the idea of an avatara. We have seen that every avatara comes to restore the dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Here also there is a avatara appears in order for the devatas to learn a certain lesson. So because the devatas failed to recognize what? Ishvara is ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech, prana of the prana. There is somebody behind this body, mind, sense complex, who makes them all function. And all glory, all mahima belongs to Ishvara. So that is why when we get some praise, so generally we say it's all Bhagavan's grace. So we forward all the praises and merits that we get to Ishvara. Why? Because Ishvara is the karma phala data. I have come to a certain position because of the grace of Ishvara. If I want something, then Ishvara has provided the buddhi, the resources, the skill, the people I contacted, and the karma phalam came from the hands of Ishvara. Ishvara is a karma phala data. So I have not created the karma phala data, karma phalam. So that is the idea that the devatas should have seen their victory with prasada buddhi. This is prasada. But that did not happen, and they, had a feeling of pride. Yeah. And so, in order to humble their pride, Brahma appears as this avatara, divine incarnation of a yaksha, and in front of them. So now let's go to mantra 3. Yeah. So then, as I told you in the story, there is this meeting. Yeah? The meeting of the gods. Te agnim abruvat jata veda. Te agnim abruvat jata veda etad vijanihi kimidam yakshamiti tatheti. Te agnim abruvat. Te, who are they? The other gods. There are many gods there. Vayu, Varna, Aditya, Chandra, Surya. So, te agnim abruvat. So Indra, along with the other gods, address Agni. How do they address? As Jataveda. Jataveda is a very special name for Agni. Why? Because Jataveda means that which blesses the world with wealth. How does Agni do that? Agni does that by being the courier, the messenger for the gods. So whatever the offerings and sankalpas are made in the Vedic rituals, it is Agni who carries them in a subtle form to the respective devatas. And then the devatas bless the host, the yajamanas, with a certain karma phalam. So that's a very important function, and that is why Agni is called Jata Veda. So te Agnim Abravat, they addressed Agni and say, Hey Jataveda. That's a Sambodhana there. Etat Vijanihi. Yeah, you please find out. You explore this strange situation. Find out from which part of the world this Yaksha has come. Yeah. Kim idam Yaksham iti. Who is this Yaksha? How did he suddenly manifest here? Can you find out? What is the response of Agni? Tatheti. Tatha iti. The last word. Yes, boss. Done. Yeah. So Agni says, this cannot be a difficult task. It looks very simple to me to find out who the Yaksha is. So be it. Tathastu. So then let's see one more mantra here. Fourth mantra. How the Agni approaches the Yaksha. Tadapyadravat, tadapyadravat, tam abhyavadat, kosi iti, agnihi vai aham asmi iti, abravit jataveda va aham asmi iti. There is no musical tune here. Lot of sandhis. So I will just read it out. Tat abhyadravat. Abhyadravat means approached. Who approached? Agni. Tad is referring to the Yaksha. So Agni approached that Yaksha. Tat abhyadravat. Then tam abhyavadat. But before Agni could even open his mouth, tam, to him, the Yaksha spoke. Yeah. Tam abhyavadat. What did the Yaksha say? Kosi. Kosi means kaha asi. Who are you? Yeah. Who are you? Then Agni has to reply. Kosi. So Agnihi vai aham asmi iti. I am Agni, says Agni. Don't you know who I am? I am so powerful. I can burn anything in this world. Yeah. Aham asmi iti abravit. I am Jataveda. By giving the name Jataveda, he introduces himself, means I am the bestower of wealth. Jataveda. That is who I am. So Agni, we know, is the Vak Devata, the deity presiding over our speech. Yeah. Now, so that Yaksha asks Agni, who are you? So Agni would feel humiliated, and it's a blow, because he is Vak Devata, he can burn anything in the world, he is Jataveda, and how he guarantees the karma phalam, from the Devatas back to the Jivas. So I make people wealthy, and here is this Yaksha asking him, who are you? So that is, a bit of a blow. So then, the story continues that, Yaksha says, oh, you may be very powerful and a powerful Devata and all that. Yeah. What is your special strength? And as the story goes, Agni says that I can burn anything. Yeah. Anything in the world. Yeah. And anything that is combustible, I can burn. And then the mantras, 5 onwards, talk about how the Yaksha places the blade of grass and Agni is unable to burn it, and feeling humiliated and subdued, he returns back, with back to Indra. I remember Puja Swamiji would dramatize it. Dramatize this whole, lecture, and, in a drama form, very, very entertaining it would be. And then Indra is puzzled and then sends Vayu as the next delegate, messenger, and even Vayu cannot do that. The same story, and then Indra himself arrives, yeah, and then we know the story about how the Yaksha disappears, and in place there is Uma Devi. And so in these 12 mantras, only this story is being told, yeah, which is the essence of chapter 3. And Shankaracharya, he gives us very important 6 messages that can be had from, the story. Like, for example, the Devatas come in front of Yaksha. So the Yaksha is very near, but they do not know. So what is the teaching here? That Brahma Tattvam is Pratibodha Viditam Matam. It is the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, and yet one does not know it. So that is called one misses the obvious. It is so obvious, it is so self-evident, it is oneself, and yet we are unable to grasp it. That is one teaching, yeah? How they approach close by, but they're unable to ascertain. So like that, Shankaracharya beautifully in the Bhashyam gives 6 messages connected with the story, and that we will see in the next session. Okay. So now we will just read these mantras again. The 4 mantras, so that you connect to the story. ब्रह्मदेवेभ्यो विजिज्ञे तस्यः ब्रह्मणो विजये देवाः अमहीयन्त ते ऐक्षन्त अस्माकम् एव अयं विजयः अस्माकमेव अयं महिमा इति तद् ह एषां विजज्ञौ तेभ्यः ह प्रादुर्बभूव तत् न व्यजानत किमिदं यक्षमिति. That was that one. Then the third one. ते अग्निम् अब्रुवत् जातवेद एतद्विजानीहि किमिदं यक्षमिति तथेति. And the last one, 4. Tad abhyadravat tam abhyavadat kosim iti agnihi vai ahamasmi iti abravit jataveda vai ahamasmi iti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.